Okay, you're singing on all songs on the album. They're not only songs, they're also instrumental tracks, but you're singing on all songs. Have you considered guest singers, or did you want to focus it on your voice because it's your album, maybe? Or
Um, well, I sing most of it, but we have on one of the tracks, for instance, my wife Jo sings along with her sister Amanda. Amanda does most of the vocals with me. When there's a girl's voice, it's hers. And on the extended edition, the special edition of the album, there is a band from Iceland called Todmobile, who have been working recently with John Anderson. And I liked very much the work they did with John. They did some orchestral versions of some Yes things, which sounded absolutely wonderful with John singing, just with orchestra. They invited me to record with them, to do some shows with them. I did 2 shows, and I've played on 2 songs and done a co-write on one of those songs, which they then suggested I should use on my album, and they had it on theirs. So the very last song is half Icelandic and half British.
it's Midnight Sun.
Midnight Sun,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay. Ja, also er sagt, er singt im Prinzip also das meiste auf dem Album, und die weiblichen Stimmen sind seine Frau und seine Schwägerin, also Amanda Lehman, die war ja auch schon auf anderen Alben dabei. Und er hat eben auf der Deluxe Edition ist noch dieser Bonustrack Midnight Sun drauf, also mit Todd Mobile.
Yeah, Todmobile.
So
yeah.
not Todd Mobile, it's Todd Mobile.
No, it's funny that I did ask that, and over there I think it's Todmobile, but they call themselves Todmobile anyway because they want the English pronunciation.
Okay, also das ist die Band, mit der er jetzt auch kürzlich in Island aufgetreten ist. Da hat der Volker auch einen schönen Bericht zugeschrieben, da war nämlich vor Ort. Ja, könnt ihr lesen. We have a report about this gig on our website in both languages, which Volker Warnke wrote. That's what I was referring to. Ja, und das ist quasi die einzige fremde männliche Stimme auf dem Album. But do you have these moments when you say, oh, I've got this song, and maybe it's better to have someone else sing it, or is it for you out of the question to include guest singers, male singers on your albums?
Well, I have in recent times when I've gone back and re-recorded the Genesis stuff. I worked with tons of different singers on it, and I only sang one little bit myself, which was Willow Farm from Supper's Ready. I think that throughout the course of a lifetime, sometimes you work with another singer or 2, a Phil, a Pete. A Richie Havens, a Randy Crawford, and I've worked with some of the greatest singers in the world. So sometimes I do it myself, and other times it's other people. But I think with the vocals on this album, I think many of the songs are very personal, and I feel the need to do it myself.
Also auf diesem Album fand er die Songs zu persönlich, und deswegen hat er alles quasi selbst gesungen, aber er wird das auch nicht ausschließen, in Zukunft auch wieder Gastsänger zu haben. Er hat ja mit vielen auch schon gearbeitet. Insofern ist das jetzt auf dem Album so gewesen, weil es ein sehr persönliches Album ist, aber in der Zukunft kann es auch wieder anders sein. You've been in this business for
150 years.
You have recorded how many albums?
Well, they lie when they say it's 25. There's got to be 50 or 60 if you include all the live ones, and probably more actually.
But the question is something completely different. When you record a new album like Wolflight, do you have any success expectations, or is it something that's doesn't interest you, like record sales or something?
Well, record sales are a very strange thing. I think you have to look at it over the course of the long term. If I talk to you about the Genesis albums that I did in the early days, they weren't huge successes. I would be lying if I said I'm not outselling that myself at the moment. But the important thing is that over time, you know, the Genesis stuff sold something like 130 million, and no one can actually ever really know for certain what that's all about. You know, in China, I'm sure they probably don't pay royalties, but who's counting? You know, the truth is, I don't do it in order to sell loads and loads of records. I do it because I love the music that I do. I wouldn't. Yeah, I probably said enough about that. You know, people have got all sorts of motivations. Yeah, if it sells 1 billion records, I'm not going to complain, but that's not the reason I do it.
Ja. Ja, ich habe die Erfolgsfrage gestellt, ob ihn solche Dinge interessieren wie Plattenverkäufe zum Beispiel. Und da hat er auch nochmal gesagt, dass es ja bei Genesis früher auch nicht so war, dass die da Millionen von Platten verkauft haben, dass das erst im Laufe der Zeit auch so erfolgreich geworden ist, auch die Albenplatten sich jetzt gut verkaufen. Und dass er das im Prinzip hauptsächlich für die Musik macht. Er wird sich nicht beschweren, wenn er viele Platten verkauft, aber das ist nicht seine Hauptmotivation. Ja, das ist, denke ich, dann auch, da ist alles zugesagt. Okay, I listened to the new album plenty of times. And at one point I found myself in a position saying, well, I liked Shrouded Horizon, so I have to like this one, because it's maybe a step forward, but it's not too far away from it.
You don't have to like it.
No. It's true. It's very true, yeah. I'm a free man, but the thing with fans is always strange, you know. Either they like it or they don't. There's nothing in the middle.
You can't.
No.
Yeah.
So, but the question is, would you agree saying if you like Shrouded Horizon, you are going to like this one as well? Or do you feel like these two albums are not too similar?
I think there are some similarities, but it seems to have a different personality to it as far as I can see. I think it's probably got a bigger sound. It's got a kind of cinematic sound. I mean, for years I was always trying to make things sound bigger. How do we make the bass bigger, and how do we do this, and how do we make it sound orchestral? And I think certain things happened. You know, when there were certain bass notes, I reinforced it with bowed bass and blown instruments. Sometimes it's, you know, with woodwind or brass on the top. And I think as you go adding those things, suddenly rock music starts to expand in a different kind of way. Because there's this thing about, you know, orchestras sound big, but it's in a very amorphous way, and rock music is very defined. You know, the big bass sound and the big drum sound. It's always there, but orchestras seem to have this infinite depth and this kind of sound field that you can't really put your finger on. It's like cinema scope in old speak, you know. It's kind of out there in the distance.
So you would say that the last one was more rock and this one is more orchestra?
I think so, yeah. I think there's much more attention towards those perspectives that enlarge it in a different kind of way.
Okay, also ich habe ihn gefragt, ob man das sagen kann, wer Shrouded Horizon mag auch Wolflight. Und er sagte, dass die Alben jetzt schon vergleichbar sind, aber das neue Album halt deutlich mehr Größe hat oder auch gewaltiger klingt. Hauptsächlich auch deswegen, weil er mit Orchester arbeitet und dadurch der Sound eben einfach viel dicker wird. Und er auch im Laufe der Jahre immer wieder an dieser Frage des Sounds auch entsprechend gearbeitet hat. Und er sieht auch in der Rockmusik, sage ich mal, eine sehr prägnante Stimmung, dadurch, dass immer Drums vorhanden sind. Und beim Orchester viel mehr Tiefgang, weil die Elemente halt deutlich vielschichtiger sind. Und deswegen hat er auch die orchestralen Elemente mit hinzugenommen, damit er aus dem Sound des Albums etwas Größeres machen kann, als es, also im Sinne des Sounds, als es vorher gewesen ist. And the question now is, how are you going to transfer this big sound, including these foreign instrument, world music instruments, into a tour? You're going on tour with the record this fall. I think it's September, October in Europe. So how are you going to do this? Because you cannot put 20 people on stage, can't you?
No, I would do it with great difficulty. but it needs to be done, and certain of the tracks need to be done. Of course, in addition to this album, it's the 40th anniversary of Acolyte, my first one, and so I'll be celebrating that. So Acolyte to Wolflight, plus also promoters and agents have said to me in the nicest possible way, made me an offer I can't refuse. I have to include some Genesis songs in it. So for my sins, you know, I'll be doing that. So the load is spread over a number of different albums and different periods in my life to try and come up with something that's like the totality of it. But, you know, I've done a lot of albums, and it's a very difficult choice what you include and what you leave out. But with certain things, I would like to be playing songs that I've not played before. For instance, with the Genesis ones, to look for other songs that I've not played live or not played live for a very, very long time. So we'll be retiring some favorites. You've got to do that. We've got to have change in some way, or else people will say, "Oh, I've seen that show. I'm not going to come back."
Okay, also sagt, dass das Übersetzen seines Albums auf die Bühne sicherlich eine sehr herausfordernde Arbeit ist, aber nicht nur das, sondern er wird auch das 40-jährige Jubiläum von Voyage of the Acolyte gebührend feiern und entsprechend im Set berücksichtigen. Und wie er sagte, dass halt seine Promoter haben ihm so freundlich wie möglich gesagt, er möge doch auch Genesis-Songs spielen, weil man das natürlich auch besser vermarkten kann, und das wird er natürlich auch machen. Hat auch gesagt, dass er hier nicht wieder das Gleiche spielen will, sondern sich neue Songs aussuchen möchte, um die entsprechend dann auch live zu präsentieren. You mentioned the 40th anniversary of Voyage of the Acolyte.
Yeah.
You were 25 back then, by the way.
I was 25, so you can work out my age, yes. And it's Tony's birthday today, isn't it? Tony Banks' birthday.
Yes, it's also true,
so
yeah.
We wish him happy birthday.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So does this Acolyte to Wolflight mean that you're playing both albums in its entirety, or a selection of both albums?
Oh, I think it has to be a selection, but I think you know, I have to work out what's feasible with the team that's there. I haven't got the set list worked out, if that's what you mean. I have to try certain things, I guess most things are possible when you put your mind to it. But also, I'm not very good at mathematics, so I don't know how long each song is going to last. I can't tell you. If we played the whole of Acolyte and the whole of and the whole of Wolflight, whether we'd have enough for the Genesis stuff. So I guess people will be letting me know what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear.
Is that Peter Gabriel's signature here? No. Okay.
No.
Okay, also er sagte, dass er nicht das ganze Album spielen kann. It's your signature.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is.
Und auch nicht das ganze Wolflight-Album. Und er sagt auch, dass er nie gut in Mathematik war und nie weiß, worauf das hinausläuft, gerade bei der Setlist. Er hat schon viel probiert und glaubt auch, dass er viel machen kann. Muss natürlich auch hier entsprechend eine Auswahl treffen. I think people won't complain if you play for 4 hours. I'm pretty sure about
4
that.
hours. You know, I think I have to hire 2 separate bands, you know, so that when the first lot tire, then I can continue on with the other one. 4 hours sounds reasonable.
You mentioned that you want to play other songs than you did on previous tours. Does it only affect the Genesis songs or also the solo songs?
I think it affects the solo songs as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Da brauche ich nicht übersetzen, glaube ich. Wie ist es? And speaking about the Genesis tracks, you played a lot of different tracks during the last tour, the Genesis Extended, Genesis Revisited tour.
Yeah.
Are there any songs left you haven't played? So.
Well, it's a funny thing. People keep saying, "Oh, is there going to be a Genesis Revisited number 3?" And I think I've probably already done my favourite songs, but there are 1 or 2 that are left that I think are good. I mean, you're spoilt for choice with the Genesis stuff. It is very good, or else you wouldn't be here, would you, with the fan club? But there you are. It's the thing by which I measure my stuff. I always think, I'm being completely honest, that if I write a song, I think, would Phil have liked the drums? Would Tony have liked the harmonic progression? Would Mike have liked whatever it is, the guitar sounds or the jangle of it? Would it have been crazy enough for Pete? And then you've got, you know what I'm saying, in the best possible way, imaginative. I should use this word, imaginative. And then you get something like, the level of schizophrenia that I have to go through every time I write something new.
Ich fange mal hinten an, was lustig ist. Also er sagt, dass er auch gerade beim Schreibprozess manchmal ein bisschen schizophren sich vorkommt, weil er im Prinzip bei allem, was er tut, immer auch versucht, das möglichst so gut zu machen, wie die Genesis-Sachen waren oder sind. Und er da eben sich auch die Frage stellt, ob Tony quasi die Harmonien gemocht hätte, ob Phil die Drums gemocht hätte und dergleichen. Und ihm das natürlich auch nochmal zusätzlich unter Druck setzt, was Gutes zu kreieren. Und die eigentliche Frage hat er gar nicht beantwortet.
And of course,
so the original question you didn't answer?
Yeah. Never answer the question. It's always the politician's way.
But the fun is, we just heard two tracks. We saw two tracks on the videos to Wolflight and Love Song to a Vampire. I don't think that I'm the only one here in this room thinking these are typical Genesis-influenced tracks, aren't they?
Well, Genesis is a typically Hackett-influenced band. Sorry. Hang on a sec. I'm sorry, but somebody had to say that, because it did go through a lot of changes when I left, or didn't it?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, I wrote a lot of this stuff with my wife and with Roger, so I'm not guilty for writing all of the Wolflight stuff, whether you like it or hate it. It is a team. It's a team that wrote it, as Genesis was. Genesis was a team that wrote. It wasn't just one brain that did it,
But you also said you wanted to come back to the longer songs, like 10 minutes in length. And
yes.
And obviously these two tracks, you fulfilled this, whatever it is.
Well,
prophecy.
I think that's to be thorough, It's this thing about to take something that becomes a theme and develop it. And what was it Pete said many years ago? I'm trying to think of him. Yeah, he was talking about hearing a particular album at one point that some guys had made, and he said, it all sounds like underdeveloped ideas. I won't say who he was talking about, but so I've always thought about that, the development of ideas, and how do you develop ideas in rock, that's supposed to have started off with 2-minute songs and be very, very simple. How do you develop all that? You've got to go into classical music or film music or any of these areas where people develop something, a story. I think that's what's common, to classical music and progressive side of rock music, is that there's always a story there behind the song. It's not just someone noodling away on their own. Okay, for instrumentals, of course, but the idea of taking people into a world in the same way that people get taken into a world of books by Tolkien or C.S. Lewis or any one of a number of great writers. It's just that's, I think, the thing that's central to it. And as you develop that, then the song starts to develop character. And I'll shut the hell up because I'm losing myself here.
That's okay, but before I translate, I just want to stick to this certain point. The track Wolflight, as I said, let's say it is a typical progressive rock song.
Absolutely.
So, whether it's Genesis influenced or Hackett influenced or whatever, it doesn't. It's not the important thing here. The question I was trying to raise is: did you write the song as a whole on paper, or did you have many ideas and at one point you put them together?
Well, I think John Lennon was the guy who kind of blew the lid on this kind of stuff. He said, you have ideas, separate ideas, and you join them up later. That's how it works. I think you reflect on something, and particularly something progressive, you're going to live with it for a while, and it's going to germinate, and it doesn't come all at once.
Okay, er hat es beantwortet. Also er hat tatsächlich gesagt, oder das habe ich auch vermutet, aber ich wollte es quasi von ihm nochmal hören, wie er das wirklich macht. Er hat viele Ideen und guckt dann wirklich später, welche passt vielleicht mit welcher anderen zusammen. Er schreibt also jetzt nicht einen ganzen Song auf dem Papier und dann ist es das. Vorher hat er halt gesagt, weil ich sagte, dass das ja ein Wolflight gerade und auch der andere Song, Love Song to a Vampire, so typische, ja, so Genesis beeinflusste Songs sind. Er sagte halt, naja, Genesis waren ja auch eine Hackett beeinflusste Band. Und hat nochmal so ein bisschen die Historie und die Dynamik des Progressive Rock hier aufgemacht und da eben nochmal erklärt, wie solche Ideen entstehen, meistens so 2 Minuten Schnipsel und am Ende eben nochmal bestätigt, dass sie dann am Ende quasi sich finden und irgendwie dann sich auch rauskristallisiert, was zusammenpasst und dann entsteht eben so ein Track, kann man ja sagen, ist ja kein Song im eigentlichen Sinne. Okay, and now you're also in the music video business. You haven't been there for quite some time. So how did you find the appetite for this kind of thing?
Well, it started, of course. It's Thomas Warber who's here tonight, who said, you know, we've got some very interesting stuff from Unlikely Quarters, you know, and he showed me some stuff that the director had made, and it looked really, really good. The quality of it looked like a feature film rather than a regular video. And I said, "Oh, you know, this stuff looks amazing." And he said, "I think we should work with him." Now, at the same time, a friend of ours called Paul Gosling said he would like to make a video, and the one that accompanies Love Song to a Vampire, the last one that you saw, he shot that, and that was, you know, some of the ideas were ours, but basically the impetus came from him originally to do that, and it was lovely that someone was so self-motivated to do that. I mean, I gave him maybe two days of my time to shoot and mime to it, of course, because it's not all live. But you would never have guessed, no. But I must say, I think I'm a very bad actor. So when it came to shooting the stuff in Serbia for Wolflight, the director said to me, I said, "Look, I'm really stiff. You're going to have to direct me with this." And so he said, "Yeah, I will." You know, and even when playing guitar, he said, "This is what a guitarist does." He says, "You've got to be proud." I said, "Well, I just stand there and play it." He says, No, this is the way a rock guitarist does it." So I said, "Oh, yeah, that's really good, you know." So I did exactly what the director told me to do. I thought it was the best thing to do to get around my inability to move with my instrument.
So we could be very happy you didn't play the drums then.
Absolutely.
Ja, also er sagt, dass er in dieses, also es geht um die 3 Videos, die gemacht worden sind. Eins ist ja, ich sage mal nur, aber es ist ja ein Lyric-Video. Die anderen beiden sind ja ausgewachsene Musikvideos, auch für längere Songs. Und das kam halt auch durch eine Plattenfirma, der Vorschlag, durch den deutschen Teil der Plattenfirma dort in die Richtung mal was zu machen, weil man das natürlich auch gut promoten kann. Es gibt ja heutzutage mit YouTube, wenn es nicht gerade in Deutschland gesperrt ist, da ganz gute Möglichkeiten, das zu tun. Und er hatte auch noch einen Freund, der ihm da das vorgeschlagen hat, noch ein bisschen mehr zu machen. Und sagte auch, dass er eigentlich ein grauenhafter Schauspieler ist und da entsprechend da diese Bewegungen machen musste. Und der Director in Serbien, wo die Wolflight aufgenommen haben, ihm dann gezeigt hat, wie man eine Gitarre richtig hält, wie das quasi Rock-Gitarristen halt machen sollen. Und hat er es eben so gemacht, wie es Rock-Gitarristen machen sollen und nicht so, wie er es macht. Und hat sich da entsprechend in dem Bereich auch austoben können.
And there was one more, of course. There was one more video which I didn't have to take part in at all. I didn't have to act or play or do anything, which is the one that accompanies The Wheels Turning, which is a computer-generated thing, which came out very nicely. And so, you know, it's much easier just sit back and let other people do it, of course.
I just described it as only a lyric video, but
only a lyric video,
it's,
yeah.
computeranimiert entsprechend,
Yeah.
und da musste er gar nichts machen.
A mere lyric video.
Ja.
Yeah.
Da war er quasi nicht involviert, sondern ja, ist entsprechend ohne ihn gemacht worden.
But came out nicely anyway.